They take to the start here for the very first time. Looking down the inside of Jack Keithley as well, a touch of contact between the two. Still rubbing wheel to wheel. What a move! Fantastic stuff. Let us return to a circuit which has been on the calendar in both of the previous seasons. Legendary in the world of motorsport for nearly 100 years, it's of course Spa-Francorchamps. Synonymous with countless categories in motorsport as well as in sim racing, it's a true all-rounder that needs little to no introduction. Where we have raced it in the previous seasons, it's been an endurance race, 60 minutes. This time we take to it in sprint racing fashion, which as all regards go, will be fantastic and enthralling. I am absolutely sure. It is time for the end of the first half of the season in the CUPRA SimRacing series. Round 5 of 10 in 2021. Unfortunately, Chris Buxton is not able to join us in the commentary booth this round, as it was in the Nordschleife then, and as it was last night when we did the Spa 2.4 hour on RaceRoom. It's myself, Lewis McGlade, and alongside me is Robert Wiesenmüller.
Hello everyone, hello Lewis. Yes indeed, it's time here for another race at Spa. This time 2 races at the CUPRA SimRacing series, and this track always provides fantastic action.
Really does. We've seen plenty of great racing over the previous 2 seasons when we raced here for the VIP race, when it was in the CUPRA e-racing competition finale night, where the driver that's leading the championship took the win on that day to really try and apply some pressure for the title race in the CUPRA e-racing competition. Here today, though, looking very, very good in that championship standings, but did not top pre-qualifying coming into this, was second behind Alessandro Ottaviani for virtual drivers by TX3. Plenty of big names on the list, a couple missing. We'll get into that in a moment, but great to see the likes of Axel Vermeulen back onto the grid. He looks very, very good. Missed out on the reverse grid by just a single position last time out at Aragon, but now looking very, very pacey. Home circuit up in 4th.
Yeah, and also Ballas Esports, very strong representation here for cars, the team with the highest representation, so that could be quite interesting. And last time at Aragon, it was also quite interesting, and I believe, Lewis, you've got the highlights for us.
Welcome to Highlights, the 4th round of the CUPRA SimRacing series from the Motorland Aragon as we head to Spain and return to a 2-race format. Florian Haase will be on pole position with Kirill Antonov and Pliszka behind. Axel Vermeulen up inside the top 10 on debut as well. Gianmarco Fiducci, our championship rival, will start a few positions behind one of his main championship rivals, Alessandro Ottaviani. After a great qualifying session, Petr Pliszka would have to miss the race start. However, the front row of the grid would still retain Kirill Antonov and Florian Haase, both having a good launch, both leading into turn 1 with Florian Haase heading the field. Petr Pliszka would start from the pit lane and would attempt to work his way up the order. And then an early mistake from Adam Pintesh would allow Lucas Wehrle up into 5th position. A great run from the Snow Stratton Esports driver. Kirill Antonov would fire on down the inside in the early stages of the hairpin. We'd see a lot of this today, trying to work their way up the order in the tightest location of the racetrack. Alessandro Ottaviani would get by Ben Spanky and up onto the podium. Contact between these two in the braking zone. Haase just chopping off the nose of Kirill Antonov, and Alessandro Ottaviani fancied to pick up the pieces and maybe gain himself 2nd position. It'd all be tight leaving the hairpin. Florian Haase would receive a little bit of a bump from Alessandro Ottaviani, would hold the lead, and Alessandro Ottaviani would have to defend from Kirill Antonov. Ben Spanky was also a part of the mix, fancying his way through the ordeal, but Alessandro Ottaviani would be passed again from Antonov. A little bit of contact on the T1 apex curb, and Antonov would get back ahead. Contact into the hairpin would make it 3 wide on the exit, with Adam Pintesh picking up the pieces in the background. Lucas Wehrle being sent down the order with Gianmarco Fiducci. Contact between Ben Spanky and Adam Pintesh. Alessandro Ottaviani, the big loser in all of that, drops down into 5th. Axel Vermeulen, who was running very, very strongly inside the top 10, our debutant to the CUPRA SimRacing series, will be passed by Ben Zupanek for that reverse grid pole. And on the final lap of the race, Kirill Antonov would be holding it in the middle of the road. A little bit of contact on the rear would allow Ben Spanky to get through and attack for a 2nd position. But who would join him on the podium? Looked like it was going to be Kirill Antonov. Ahead of all of this, though, Florian Haase would cross the line to take victory once again in the CUPRA SimRacing series. Dominance from Florian Haase leaves him 2.7 seconds clear of Bence Banki. Ben Stupanek, who got himself inside the top 10, would be reversed onto the pole with Lucas Vela and Juan Manuel Gomez behind. And away once again in the CUPRA SimRacing series, Ben Stupanek would lead clearly into turn 1 from Lucas Vela. Well, unfortunately, Lucas Vela was not long for the race and would retire in the early stages, courtesy of connection issues. The Team Fordzilla drivers would be going side by side. Gianmarco Fiducci trying to get by Juan Manuel Gomez. Race winner in race 1, that was Florian Haase dropping down the order with a much better run from Jack Keithley, trying to open the door and get by Bence Banki as well. Gianmarco Fiducci wasn't waiting around as he would dive down the inside of Mikkel Rakel to get what was now second position, and Adam Pinsesh would try and get by Juan Manuel Gomez behind. A bit of too wide off of the final corner on the S's section up towards the start-finish line, and it was Alessandro Ottaviani fancying his way through. A little bit of contact between Juan Manuel Gomez and Adam Pinsesh, and Gomez would lose the position. Gomez would now be on the defence from Kirill Antonov, trying to hold them all back from the podium battle ahead. A bit of contact at turn 1. The next lap, it was a clean move from Alessandro Ottaviani to get Adam Pinsesh down at turn 1, but the top 2 were running away. Finally, Kirill Antonov would try and find a way through on Gomez with this outrageous dive, a fantastic move. Wasn't able to complete it though, and getting the switch back, Gomez would hang on to the position. Jack Keithley would work his way into the mix though and get himself involved in the fight for the top 5. Alessandro Ottaviani would make the move on Mikkel Rakel and grab third position down at the hairpin. And Jack Keithley would fancy himself a part of this. A dive from Kirill Antonov to open the door of Juan Manuel Gomez finally. And Keithley, with a bit of a bump, would work his way through and gain 2 positions in 1 corner. That would continue up the hill though as Bence Banki would try and get in the mix, but up onto 2 wheels and dropping off the racetrack. Petr Pliška driving up the order would get involved in the mix. And now Adam Pinsesh fancied his way into the fight of the podium. A bit of contact with Rakel and a little bit with Ottaviani as well on that run up the hill. Wasn't able to get through, and finally Fiducci would go for the move. A dive down the inside into the hairpin, gets by Bence Stupanek, who is now a sitting target for Alessandro Ottaviani, who would waste no time making the move down into turn 1 and making it an Italian 1-2. A bit of a bump on the apex, but still, Gianmarco Fiducci at the front of the field though would cross the line to win for the 2nd time this season for Team Fordzilla. Another fantastic race in the series with Gianmarco Fiducci, Ottaviani and Bence Stupanek rounding out the podium. Pinsesh having a good drive to 4th and a good drive all evening. Florian Haase recovered to 9th. It really was brilliant racing back at Aragon, and I'm sure we are going to see once again the same kind of stuff, but around a circuit which is so legendary. I mean, every time we come here we're in awe of the presence of this circuit. It really is fantastic, and it provides its own difficulties as to how to actually race around here. So it's one of those circuits where being the leader isn't necessarily a huge advantage, because on this run all the way up to Les Combes, especially in these kind of cars, you're going to be a sitting duck.
Yeah, exactly, and you will see the effect of the slipstream already in qualifying.
Qualifying is going to be intense. I mean, let's talk about some important points then when it comes to teams, because we were, whilst you're in qualifying, you want to work with your team. You want to be around your teammates. Now, of course, one of the teams that's great at working with each other, Dur Esports. They were 4 drivers earlier on in the season. They are only 2 here today, Florian Haase and Mikkel Rakel. Now, Florian Haase has gone well around here before, had pole position I think before, maybe in the first season or something like that. He's done very well around here in the recent past, has been on podiums, has been a strong contender. No Moritz Lerner as a part of that squad, at least for the foreseeable future in the series, obviously focusing elsewhere in sim racing, and no Bence Banki either.
Yeah, Bence Banki removed from the championship due to a count infringement. And yeah, his season over. Same for Christian Juhász. That was a big disappointment, but Banki, Juhász and both teams also apologized for it. A case of account sharing there. And yeah, pretty sad to see, but good that they apologized at least, got the penalty, and yeah, now the season continues without them.
It is a shame, especially to lose a name the likes of Bence Banki. He's been on the podium a couple of times so far in 2021, and we know the talent that has been in the top 5 consecutive times over the previous 6 races. Obviously, not the last race, but the ones before it was 5 consecutive times. It was one that we were looking forward to seeing go stronger and stronger. But I'm sure if there's one driver who'll actually be a little bit more calmer to see the names of Ben Spanky and Christian Newharsh put to one side, to be honest, Gianmarco Verducci might not be too disappointed in that, in the sense that it's more stronger rivals not to worry about. I saw 3 of the Lada Sport Roseneft teams in there. The 2 Fordzilla cars pre-qualified up in 2nd and 3rd, so going quite well for them. You can see Gianmarco Verducci's record. CUPRA E-Racing Competition 2021 in that final was in 3rd spot. Of course, a race win at this track in a fantastic 4-way fight for the race win. It really was brilliant. Was 5th place last season. Has done well in the esports WTCR Championship, is starting to spread out in sim racing a little bit, and of course comes into this round as our championship leader, a driver who really is, after not being in sim racing for that long, realistically speaking, is constantly going from strength to strength.
Yeah, Verducci truly one of the top favorites for the championship title now, because the season didn't go as planned for Keithley either. It didn't go as planned for Lerner, so we don't see these two today. And yeah, also a few other rivals. Martin Bahner especially had a very difficult round last time out. So yeah, looking
there's a
good
lot
for
of
Verducci.
it. Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, this is so. Whilst we were going through some of the stats, and I will just throw it out here whilst we're in the qualifying session with everyone going out. When we were looking, because obviously we had these people drivers that we were looking at, the likes of Lerner, Haase, Keithley, Antonov, even, who won the 2 races at Macau, coming into this with extreme strength, and kind of expected maybe a little bit more. When we were speaking of people who finished on the podium, Alessandro Ottaviani has had 3 podiums. Kirill Antonov has had 3 podiums. Gianmarco Verducci, you guessed it, has had 3 podiums. Florian Haase, yep, another driver with 3 podiums so far this season. Now, all of those 4 are doing very, very well this season. It's just the consistency. It's how many times that Gianmarco Verducci has been inside the top 5. So when he's not on the podium, he's always there or thereabouts. I mean, think of it, he was outside of the top 5 in race 1 last round out, with a P6, so only just outside it, and then bounce back to take a race victory. For them, it's actually looking, you know, those are the main competitors. It's just Verducci's been able to consistently build a leg up, whilst the likes of Ottaviani had issues at Silverstone in that race with, I think it was Leandro Vela. Can't remember if it was Leandro or Lucas, but that contact going into Brooklands. All these other drivers have had issues.
Yeah, definitely. But I think we're not even at the halfway point yet, so yeah, it's very difficult to make a prediction so far. And we just can go on board for the first qualifying lap here with Florian Haase. Very bright green driver suit there.
Hilariously bright. Wow, that is not the colour that I would have assumed Dor would have taken. Obviously, fantastic liveries on the Dürr Esports cars. In the decent slipstream, we can see into the eyes of Florian Haase up and over Aragon. They've got to be a bit careful there with track limits, although in these kind of cars, shouldn't be too much of an issue, should it?
No, it shouldn't be. But now you will see the Dürr Esports tactic. That's something that they were planning to do here, which is in the grey area of the rules. Oh, they're not going for it. They're not going for it. I was expecting Rechel to drive flat out through the chicane to give Haase a slipstream for the rest of the lap. Ah, he is!
Oh, he is. There we go.
Yeah.
That is an interesting tactic.
That's an interesting tactic. They weren't sure themselves if it's allowed to do, but in the end, we can't really check it anyway. So it was given the green light, and yeah, it's quite an interesting take on the qualifying situation, and it also illustrates how important slipstream really is.
Now, is this? I mean, obviously, speaking of things in the championship and whatnot, is this door basically going? Okay, Reiko, I know you're in P6 the championship. You're not even that far off of Florian Haase realistically, but Haase is second in the championship at the moment. Is this them basically going? This is the green light for Florian Haase to get after that championship with assistance in a full effect from Mika Rekel, or are they going to switch round, and is this going to be just the first? It just so happens that Florian Haase is receiving slipstream on the first lap of the session, and they'll switch, and Rekel will get it in the second.
I think they will still switch here, but when it comes to the championship, It's clear that Hasse is the driver who's fighting for the title. Mokonen, by the way, very nice lap, and Markovic. First start in Division 1, 28.5, that's very good. And now look how much Hasse is gaining here.
Did see Markovic a few times in the CUPRA e-racing competition in the qualifiers, so let's see what Florian Hasse could do across the line there. So he's missed a couple of corners. I think he missed the first apex at Fagnes as well. So I don't think this is the greatest lap in the world from Florian Hasse, but it might well just be good enough. Around such a long circuit, you don't really get many bites at the cherry. And to the top of the session, he'll go nonetheless, beating out Markovic by 0.2 of a second, setting a 2:28.385. Another switch positions, and slipstream will be given the way of Mikkel Rakel. But with it being a short session around a very, very long circuit, you really, really don't get many attempts. You're almost thinking of like it's about as high pressure qualifying as we'll get all season, with the exception of the season finale when we get to Macau.
Yeah, definitely. This round at Spa, it's hard to top when it comes to action, and if you have a bit of time, I would really recommend to watch back the races from the last 2 seasons. They're still on the YouTube channel from RaceRoom. It was fantastic, slipstreaming until the end, especially in the first season when Dorneden was holding off like 5 or 6 cars for the entire race. That was spectacular. Matija Markovic from Montenegro, looking super strong here.
We were talking of nations yesterday, and there are quite a lot of nations that we see in sim racing. I mean, the wave of Hungarians, the wave of Spaniards. Nice to see the Montenegro flag being flown. Obviously, the Isle of Jersey as well being flown here with Montgomery. It's great to see.
Yeah, and look, you got a new shirt only for you, Lewis.
Yeah, I know, it's very bright. Although to be fair, I will say I prefer the shade of pink on the shirt than I do on the car.
Anyway, James Montgomery looking stronger than ever before in this season on P10, and the gaps are pretty big. What do you say?
It's large at the moment. There we go. Loving it.
Just dropped out of the top 10 though, so let's see Montgomery without a teammate here driving for JJ Racing, but it still shows privateer for him here, and he's now dropping back as more times are coming in. Let's see who from the front runners still has a good opportunity. Ottaviani at a purple first sector.
Decent second sector. Well, this could be good enough to put him onto the front row. It's Lucas Vela who's got up into what is now 4th position, a couple of tenths off. It's tight behind Florian Hasse. I mean, you think of it this way, from Ottaviani, if he improves a 10th, he's basically on the front row of the grid in 2nd spot, but needs to do a bit more to get Florian Hasse looking a little bit better over the first part of the chicane. I mean, who's missing from there at the top end? Mikkel Rakel, then in the slipstream of Florian Hasse, goes up into 2nd spot. Alessandro Ottaviani in 8th position, up to 6th. I think he would have wanted a little bit more than that, but when it comes to the championship chase, there is Gianmarco Verducci. Now this, with the timer on the clock, this is the last lap that he is realistically going to get in this session, and you can see there, shake of the head, disappointed already, giving the slipstream to Alan Pinsesh as well.
I think his lap is invalid. I think it's invalid or so.
12th place on the grid.
Oh,
and that's at a best.
But it's still better than Antonov.
But Antonov is improving, importantly enough. This could be a very, very poor qualifying from Gianmarco Verducci. But, around here, of all tracks, if there is a circuit on the calendar that you could get away with a poor qualifying, I would say it's Spa. Because it's a circuit that you can overtake at, that you can race at, and where it's almost essentially like pack racing in a peloton. Once again, the lap will go the way of Florian Hasse, who's on the rear end of Mikkel Rakel, and I have to remind you again, it is basically the final laps of their session. Once it hits 0, we'll move over into the first race, and it's an important time now for the likes of Verducci to hope that he doesn't drop much further back than 12th. For Kirill Antonov, he needs to move his way up, and this is looking a lot better.
Slipstream from Sokovikov from his teammate. It's the last corner pretty well, so that could be maybe even front row.
Got to do well to beat Mikkel Rakel. Let's see what it is. It's definitely, I'm feeling 2nd row here. We'll see what it is. Maybe 3rd position on the grid, and it certainly is up to P3 from the young Russian of Kirill Antonov. Lada Sport Rosneft trying to do something here. Pliszka also puts another position on Gianmarco Verducci. Again, further improvements, just losing out a little bit of time as Pfeiffer goes up into second. That is superb. Absolutely phenomenal from the German driver. Florian Haase, though, looking to secure pole position with a little bit more authority, and escape there from Mikko Räikkönen, who's done his work for the team. 2,000ths clear of Kirill Antonov. It was looking like it was going to be an all-door esports front row. That seems to have been, an end has been put to it from 5. Adam Pinsesh moves up into 5th spot to complete his final lap of the session. Florian Haase across the line. I don't think there was much of an improvement, if any. I don't actually think it was in the end. Vinieri, one of our new drivers, one of the 4 drivers on the grid from Ballas Esports, just 21st. And again, that'll be his session basically done, and we'll have to roll off from 21st. But there are a couple of drivers, Philip Kielman and Luciano Wittfurt, both not setting times in this session.
Yeah, and only Vinieri and Montgomery are still out on track at the moment, so this is how the order will stay. Just going to show Max Pfeiffer for a moment, even though his car is not on the screen. Well, no one's driving now anyway. Let's just show him here. There's Max Pfeiffer, front row. Wow.
I think he would have expected that before this one. Florian Haase, though, in first position, in pole position, and looking strong once again here. We'll get ready for race 1. That was Florian Haase on pole position, and that is exactly where he was at Aragon just a week ago. And what did he do on that day? Well, he managed to pull away and take a victory. Will he be able to do the same kind of things here today? We'll stick 25 minutes on the clock for the first time here at Spa in the CUPRA SimRacing series. We've raced here twice before. On both occasions, it has been all about endurance racing for 60 minutes, but our focus on who's going to win, and of course, who is going to be inside that top 10 and the reverse grid pole position from 10th spot for the second race. Lewis McGlade, Rob Wiesenmüller in the commentary booth. And for Gianmarco Verducci, a terrible qualifying session from our championship leader, 15th on the grid, and that is going to open everything up for the entire grid for the championship. This is about as good as you're going to get. What can Pfeiffer do from the front row of the grid? Is on the inside of Florian Haase in that Dur Esports car. Mikko Räikkönen and Kirill Antonov on the second row of the grid. We're about to get underway here for 25 minutes at Spa, round number 5 in the CUPRA SimRacing series of 2021, and we are underway for the first sprint race of the evening. It's a decent launch, of course, from our pole sitter Florian Haase. Mikko Räikkönen trying to attack around the outside. You've got Kirill Antonov diving it to the inside. You've got Adam Pinsesh as well, with a little bit of side-by-side contact between him and Markovic down the hill for the first time. It's a decent launch from Florian Haase, but now we are talking of Slipstream City. Oh, we're going to get some side-by-side potentially into Eau Rouge on the very first lap of the race. Gianmarco Verducci dropping back a position down to 16th spot. It is not going well for the Team Fortilla driver.
Oh, what a start for him. Must be disappointing, but we have to go to the front of the field because look how close they already are, and I think they're bump drafting a bit.
Pfeiffer's surely not going for this here. Kirill Antonov is, though, was trying to find a way past on Räikkönen. Räikkönen defensive and potentially diving one down, but there's Antonov around the outside. A bit of contact between the two as they head through Les Combes for the first time. Adam Pinsesh also a part of the mix, running through Malmedy, and down the hill it's Kirill Antonov up into 3rd position, looking for his 4th podium of 2021. And Adam Pinsesh also in the mix. There's contact between himself and Räikkönen, and Markovic will be a part of that as well in the click of a finger. Same with Verla.
Michael Räikkönen here, the young driver, under lots of pressure immediately from the get-go, losing the place to Antonov and just about staying ahead of Adam Pinsesh. But it seems like everyone's still going.
I think so indeed. Well, there will be a couple of other drivers as well. I mean, obviously we speak of the disappointments of Gianmarco Verducci, but think of the likes of Vermeulen, who was looking so good in pre-qualifying. did not qualify very well once again. Was looking good in practice as well. Unfortunately, not working out for the virtual drivers by TX3 Man, and a bit of dirt being picked up as we run through Fania. Obviously single file at the moment as everyone's just sort of trying to sort themselves out, trying to keep involved in the mix, and it is one train from first all the way down to Kielman in 24th spot. This is looking backwards from Florian Haase to the weary eyes of Pfeiffer. Now the thing is with Pfeiffer, not so experienced on this kind of field. He's got Florian Haase ahead, a multiple race winner. He's got Kirill Antonov, who's already won a race this season as well as 2 in the previous season. Lucas Vela also holding up a bit of a train here for Alessandro Ottaviani, who will be desperate to score some decent points to try and close down on this mistake from Gianmarco Viducci, Adam Pinsesh and Markovic. There's the move from Alessandro Ottaviani. There might be contact between the Brazilian. There certainly is, to once again push him around just ever so slightly. Markovic and Pinsesh, the switch of position, and the Ardennes competition driver, going to keep Markovic at bay at La Source.
Pinsesh, you know, he wouldn't probably expect to fight with Markovic here, but what are the MRS guys doing? P2 and P6. Yeah. Absolutely amazing pace here in the opening stages of this race.
Absolutely superb. It really is fantastic from them this round. This is a team that we would have more expected to be up a little bit further. Mirror Esports, Ben Stupanek and Martin Barner right on the rear end of Alessandro Ottaviani, who's been delayed obviously with that contact between Vela, and Vela will be looking in his mirrors looking for a black, blue and orange car that might be poking its way up the order bit by bit. There's a bit of contact as well as the two Hungarians are going to go either side of the Italian. They're squeezing between them as Ben Stupanek, getting very, very racy indeed, was battling for the race win against Gianmarco Viducci a few weeks ago when we were going for that reverse grid race at pole position in that. Started it, obviously finished race 1 in 10th and did very, very well to try and hold off Gianmarco Viducci. It was a bold dive from Viducci to try and make that one work, and eventually Viducci came out on top.
Yeah, spectacular race between them, and it just shows last time they were fighting for the victory. This time, well, Stupanek is in pretty much the same position as he was last time in the first race, but Viducci way behind.
Attila Dina and Juan Manuel Gomez switching positions as well behind this on the run into Pion, and for Gomez, just not, I mean, I was going to say not doing great, but again, in the same boat with Viducci, where they were looking great in pre-qualifying, and for whatever reason, it's just not happening there. They didn't really work together as Viducci's getting to the inside of Attila Dina, our championship leader, just trying to fight up from 15th spot. Did gain 1 position, so dropped down to 16th. There's a look at the MRS Esports driver of Attila Dina. There's the dive from Gianmarco Viducci. You were saying this of MRS doing very, very well. Unfortunately for Attila Dina, doesn't really go his way, and right now Viducci desperate to get his way up, and it's not looking good from the Italian right now. This is a tense moment for Viducci. Needs to make those moves, needs to work his way up. I've got my eyes on Pfeiffer, by the way, so don't worry, I'll scream if something happens. At the moment, it is Florian Haase continuing to lead here at Spa, and the harder that there's pressure on the back end of Attila Dina, the more that the likes of Sokovikov is also going to be a part of it. A little bit deep on the brakes there from Viducci, and might lose out to the Russian as well on that run into La Source. Gets a little bit of a bump and does not gain the position. It's not great. It's nervy moments as Alessandro Ottaviani also under attack. Speaking of Russians, Pavel Makonin is right in there. Same with Martin Barner for Hungary.
And maybe Ottaviani has a small problem here because he doesn't seem to be able to go the pace despite the fact that he was the fastest in the pre-qualifying. Makonin in the top 10 for the first time this season.
And looking like he belongs as well. We know that Pavel Makonin's very good on RaceRoom, is right up there on the ranked side of things. Vermeulen and Sokovikov were battling quite close, same with Rasmus Salo in that fantastically liveried absolute car. This is back towards the front of the field though, and Max Pfeiffer going on the attack of Florian Haase, his compatriots, but also Kirill Antonov in the mix. And I brought up the stat earlier with Kirill Antonov a few rounds ago. When he won at Silverstone, it meant that he'd won 3 of the previous 5 races in the CUPRA SimRacing series. Of course, we've seen plenty of different winners from that point. In fact, only one driver has more than 1 win this season. That is Gianmarco Viducci. I think Kirill Antonov would love to slap his name a part of that, but Florian Haase might have a few things to say about this. We know the experience of Florian Haase and how well he can defend and just drive with his eyes in his mirror, but still just not making a single mistake.
Yeah, and I think for him it's a great position in this race because he's got Pfeiffer as a buffer between him and Antonov. Antonov would absolutely go for it if he's that close, but Pfeiffer, for the very first time in basically any series on RaceRoom, in such a position here where he could potentially get a podium, where he could get a win.
Yeah, this is like I say, for Pfeiffer, I mean, this is it kind of follows on the stat to have another new winner in the season. So for Pfeiffer right now, it's almost as if the odds are stacked a bit more in his favour, but you wouldn't really say that too harshly when you consider the drivers around him. I mean, even the likes of Adam Pinsesh is a little bit further off, down in 5th spot in that Ardennes competition car. Another driver to keep your eye out because he knows how to win in the CUPRA SimRacing series. Has had a good few, has had 2 prior to it, both last season, and now trying to grab 4th position off of the Tour eSports man of Mikhail Raikl, who's been on the podium before this season at Silverstone in race 2, before livery, mind. He didn't have a livery that day. It was in, pretty sure it was the black car that I think we see Markovic driving. Pinsesh, though, on the attack, no way through right now. We'll have to dive it back down the inside into La Source and try and get the undercut, but you don't really want to go side by side down into Eau Rouge.
No, you really don't want to, especially in these cars. High-speed corners are a bit critical because of the default setup, which is more set up towards slower corners. So you get a lot of oversteer in some of the fast corners. Eau Rouge is possible. Puan is actually quite difficult. But yeah, you can't really go side by side. It is flat, but it's just about flat.
I did see plenty of side-by-side in Eau Rouge yesterday, which was great. By the way, there's a bit of bump drafting between Pfeiffer and Florian Haase ahead of this. Not the same when it comes to Markovic's on the rear end of Pinsesh. This is back with Alessandro Ottaviani, getting word that he's not on his regular wheel, having to switch it out due to a wheel failure, which, to be fair, in the consideration, Antonov I think has got by on Pfeiffer. We'll go back to that in a second. Alessandro Ottaviani was very much on the attack himself, but yes, Kirill Antonov is up to 2nd place. That's not what Florian Haase wants.
No, certainly not. Now Florian Haase has to worry about it because we're not halfway through the race yet. And Antonov, we've seen him quite often that he gets quite strong towards the end of the race.
It's not, see, that's not necessarily about like tyre wear or anything like that. It's not really the main worry in this. It's not the main focus. It's certainly not around Spa as well. It's definitely not a high tyre wear circuit in these. But it's his ability to work his way into a position of attack. Again, Kirill Antonov, one of the 4 drivers who's had 3 podiums so far in 2021 of the CUPRA SimRacing series, and I'm pretty sure you can, as near as makes no difference, provided no contact, almost add a 4th one to it. But he desperately wants something a bit more of an important when it comes to a number 4, and that is a 4th victory in the CUPRA SimRacing series. He's already got more wins than Florian Haase. Haase's only got 2. It took him ages to get his first win. That was at Hockenheim. This is Kirill Antonov. Oh, nearly. He was thinking about it, but then lifted out of it quite nicely. As I think that was Adam Pinsesh, more in a defensive move, trying to hold off Markovic behind.
Well,
not very well.
Markovic might almost have him here. And now, of course, he's got the wrong line.
Actually looking surprisingly difficult to overtake around here, which is not normally a trait we give to Spa. Although, look at that in the background. There was Alessandro Ottaviani with Pavel Makonnen trying to dive down his inside, but I think it might have been more between the side-by-side of Makonnen and Martin Barney. You've also got Juan Manuel Gomez and Petr Pliška down the rear end, one of the 4 Ballas eSports drivers involved in the mix. They'll try and get single file before they hit Eau Rouge once again. And I think Kirill Antonov is very close to attacking for the race lead. We don't really know where to look in the CUPRA SimRacing series. Now with a different driver behind him, what does Florian Haase do? Is it just going to be bump drafting between the 2? I believe it is, and Kirill Antonov is more than happy to sit there because he knows he can do something about this a bit later on. Alessandro Ottaviani and Ben Stupanek battling out over 8th spot, and still no progress from championship leader Fiducci. Is still part of this train, so it's not too big of a deal. But then look at all of this as Ottaviani with Barna going side by side, and Barna now going potentially with Pavel Makonnen. This is important when it comes to 10th spot. That's the reverse grid pole position, which we'll be speaking about much later on in the race, I'm sure.
And let's not forget, we still have the incident limit active here. All of these drivers are collecting here with making this much contact there, going side by side.
Now, we've seen the instant limit come into effect, I mean, particularly in our first round at Hockenheim. We saw a few drivers come foul to that. I think Attila Dina, Juan Manuel Gomez were both on that list, as well as plenty of others. Talk us through how the instant limit kind of works in this kind of sense.
Yeah, whenever you make contact with another car, or whenever you drive outside of the track limits, you collect incidents. And if you know, depending on the type of contact or the cut, it's a different number that you get, so most of the time it's either 1 or 4. And if you reach 40, then you get a DQ. And it has been introduced after, you know, in the previous seasons we had quite a few drivers really, you know, pushing it to the limit when it comes to fair play. And now this works as an extra tool in the background to, you know, keep the racing a little bit more calm.
Yeah, and I'd say, you know, there was a little bit of complaint after the first round, but then if you're breaching that limit, everyone always complains that, oh, it was I was pushed off track and that was my final incident and that's why I got disqualified. It's kind of like, yeah, but you did have to build up 39 prior to that. So, you know, each their own. Alessandro Ottaviani once again with Mirror Esports bread either side of it. But look at that, a bit of a slowdown, I think, from Alessandro Ottaviani. Or is that another wheel failure? Oh, what has happened from Alessandro Ottaviani? I'm not 100% sure, but he's dropped down here and he's continuing to drop down to 20th spot potentially, and that is perfect for Gianmarco Viducci, who's gained 2 spots. He did get by Attila Dina and is now going side by side with Juan Manuel Gomez, his teammate. They switched positions quite early at Aragon. Less of a switch this time, bit more of a hard fighting, hard charging Juan Manuel Gomez this time. Kirill Antonov once again on the rear end of Florian Haase. I don't think there's going to be a move. I think they're just going to sit single file for now, and in the final sort of 5, 6, 7 minutes of the race, that's when Kirill Antonov is going to engage and trying to make his attack. They're just more so trying to break. I think he's accepted that Pfeiffer is a part of this train, but it's making sure that Reiko isn't allowed back into the mix. There's Gianmarco Viducci to the inside of Juan Manuel Gomez, and that is the move completed. Contact from Attila Dina on the Argentinian driver, and now Viducci up into 12th spot. He can sense that top 10 that could be so important today.
A little bit of a mistake here. Had to go to the outside to avoid hitting Pliska, but it's very close to the top 10 already. And Pliska and Mokonen, they're both pretty fast, but I think Viducci should have more pace than them.
My heart goes out to Alessandro Ottaviani. I don't know what it was. I kind of feel it was a slow down penalty because he's got going again, but knowing that he's on some new equipment, you could, or well, I say new, different. We'll go with different equipment rather than new. I think it's more of a sidestep or a step backwards onto some older stuff. So driving something different, maybe he's not had it set up properly. Don't 100% know, but either way, still in the race, just now 22nd, and when you don't have a second qualifying outfit, you have to make the most of race 1, try and get into that position. It's why it's so important, race 1. I do love that format, but for now, for Ottaviani, I know they get drop scores and whatnot this season, but still, you've got to now fear a little bit on the championship side of things.
Yeah, it's a big, it's a really fantastic opportunity, I would say, for Haase and Antonov to really make up some ground here.
Yeah, it really is, because they're, like you say, they're 1 and 2 at the moment in the race. Meanwhile, other championship rivals, being Ottaviani and Gianmarco Viducci, the 2 Italians, are way down. But you can never, ever, ever rule out Gianmarco Viducci and doing something special.
What happened to Mokonen? He's out.
Oh yeah. Not 100% sure. It might have been a disconnection or a crash or something. But yeah, no, that's interesting, because now that does, again, it alleviates a little bit more pressure, a bit more luck to the way of Gianmarco Viducci, same as whatever to happen to Alessandro Ottaviani. And so
it's
now
incident
in 11th
limit.
spot.
It is incident limit, 41 incidents.
Already? Boy, you said that they were going to be getting close to it. I didn't think they were going to be getting that close. So, Kirill Antonov is going for the race lead now. Kirill Antonov is trying to make something stick. He's got side by side with Florian Haase, and now Haase, the German, is going to try and send it around the outside at Les Combes, and is going to hold on to the race lead, and Pfeiffer's back into the mix. Look at that for an absolute send. Antonov hits the front at Malmedy, though, as we run down the hill. Pfeiffer also trying to do it. A bit of a squeeze across the nose from Florian Haase. Not going to make that one do, but now is very deep into Rivage, and surely Pfeiffer's going to be through here, and Florian Haase is going to be dropped to 3rd. Good move then, but look at that. That is exactly what they didn't want. Reiko, Pincech, Markovic, Verla, they are all back a part of this train.
Haase has a slowdown penalty because he's still slowing down. Oh, now he's going
no.
right next to Adam Pinches there.
Oh, no, for Florian Haase. This is what we were talking about. These are the races you've got to take advantage of. And now he's dropped down into 5th spot, and the advantage heads the way of Kirill Antonov, the 3-time race winner in the CUPRA SimRacing series, looking for his 2nd win of the season. Madness. Absolute madness. But the race is not done yet. 8 minutes, 10 seconds, 4 laps to go here at Spa, potentially. I'm pretty sure if my maths is not mistaken, it should be around about 4 laps of racing around here, which this is going to be a testy affair. This is going to be tense. Pfeiffer wants his 1st win of the season. Antonov wants in on championship contention. And by the way, Gianmarco Verducci is in the all-important 10th and reverse grid spot. And what is behind him is his teammate, Juan Manuel Gomez, in 11th spot. Let's take a look once again at the move from Kirill Antonov and see if we can see where that slowdown happened. Must have been there, but wasn't 100% sure about that one.
And Hasan Markovic is still fighting on the... you know, in the current picture, in the live picture there, going side by side, Hasse slightly missing the bus stop entry, just dropping back further.
And yeah, Markovic trying to go around the outside of La Source, and you've got to be careful because Lucas Vela is a part of this. No, Leandro Vela here, the Brazilians, for Snow Shatten Esports on the run down the hill. The Velas have had a few good races this season, just never really put it fully together, but went well at Aragon. Florian Haase up the hill, so close on the rear end is Markovic, and again, now I wonder, with that slowdown penalty that Haas has got, has that got into his head here? Is he now just sort of driving on the back foot, as it were? Is now driving cautiously and not really pushing the very limits as far, in case of picking up another one? Oof, that's pretty tight from Markovic.
Yeah, maybe he is. I'm not sure where he picked it up. Maybe in Eau Rouge, because it is very easy to get it there. You just go a little bit too far on the left side, on the tarmac.
Did leave it a very long time if that's the case. It's the only way, because I don't think I've seen people run wider out of Malmedy than we saw Florian Haase do there. Maybe it was just enough, just in the right spot. Maybe he left it too long before getting onto the racetrack. I don't 100% know. All we do know is that he did get a slowdown penalty and did lose the race lead to the young Russian of Kirill Antonov. Gianmarco Verducci in 10th spot now, going to go toe-to-toe with Martin Barner, and we might see a repeat of the battle between Verducci and Zupanek the other way round in the 2nd race of the evening. Of course, we'll have to wait for that one, and you have to stay tuned for it. We've got 6 minutes left in race 1 and another race to follow.
Yeah, Pliska out of the race, not sure why. Montgomery and Salo due to incident limit.
Wow. I guess that's kind of it at Spa. When you're racing this hard, you do just kind of, you knock them up bit by bit here and there, you know. It's and also, you know, track limits and whatnot. But still, yeah, costly mistakes from this lot where staying on the racetrack's half the battle.
Yeah, and it surprises me really that this is still happening at round 5 of the championship.
Yeah.
I would have expected that some drivers, you know, just take a step back then when they're getting so close to it consistently.
We'll say we'll be quite close to ending the race in 2 laps' time, but I think it will more go the way of it being 3 more laps. They're about to cross the line now, and it is, oh, it's going to be very close. It's 2 minutes 30 seconds a lap, 2 minutes 29. On the previous lap from Kirill Antonov, 2:29.3, and an invalid lap as well from Pfeiffer, by the way, for good measure. Verducci will be desperate to keep a clean race from this point on and hang on to 10th spot whilst he's got his teammate Gomez behind. There's Alessandro Ottaviani working up very quickly, already back into 14th spot. That is excellent, and has a bit of a gap to try and make up to Axel Vermeulen, who's also made a decent amount of progress, to Tiladina and Juan Gomez before he's a part of the battle for the top 10. But if there's a 3 laps here, a bit of a 3-lap shootout, which I'm pretty sure we're on the cusp of, then realistically speaking, for some of those drivers that have lost out, this isn't so bad. Max Pfeiffer did lift out before they hit the breaking point of Les Comps, so not looking to go on the attack right now. Smart racing from him. Markovic and Florian Haase. It's going from bad to worse for the German, isn't it? And Pinces up onto the podium. I think Adam Pinces is going to get down to the inside of Mikko Reikl. There's going to be contact between himself, and for Ardennes competition, it looks for the Hungarian to be going quite well here at the moment. I was going to bring up the fact that as he goes side by side on the outside of corner with no name on that run to the short shoot down to Pouon, Adam Pinces has had in the previous 3 races 3 top 5 finishes, including a podium on the Nordschleife. Was 5th in the first race of Aragon, 4th in the second race of Aragon, and looking to make it a 4th consecutive top 5 finish. And for a driver who we know can be ultra consistent, this will be very, very good indeed.
Yeah, good news for Adam Pinzet here. And a good move. Rechel there couldn't really close the door. Pinzet was already there. But of course, you know how big the slipstream is. This is far from over. And I think also Pfeiffer at the front, he just wants to stay close to Antonov. Doesn't want to go for it yet. He wants to wait for the last lap. And let's see which one will be the last lap.
Think, like I say, I'm going to stick to. Although I did say, I've always said never trust a commentator's maths, and I'll stick to that. If they cross the line with around about 2 minutes and 30 seconds to go, you'd be hard pressed to think that this will be the final lap. It's going to be, like I say, it's going to be very, very tight. There goes Kirill Antonov out of the final corner with 10 seconds to get to the line. I think we're about to start the penultimate lap of the race. But which one's the line? It's this one here, isn't it? It's the final line.
Yeah.
That's close.
That is close indeed.
What was the last lap from Kirill Antonov? If they go side by side, it may well make it the final lap of the race. They've got enough space to drop back to Adam Pinzet if they were.
Yeah, but they would both have to drop back. I don't see how they can coordinate that.
Just hard battling. Hard battling is the only way you can do it. Are we on the final lap or not?
Well, Pfeiffer certainly can't wait. He has to go here.
Yeah, this has got to be. It could be, as thing is, it could be the last time. Let's see what Pfeiffer does. Is he going to go to the outside or inside? Neither. He is just going to wait. I think Pfeiffer is more than happy to accept second position. He doesn't want any part of the championship battle. Just wants to grab himself a podium. As Markovic, he doesn't care one bit about the championship battle as he attacks Florian Harter once again. Gianmarco Vinucci inside the top 10. He'll be praying that this is the final lap of the race because he just wants to be sent up towards the top and return to a position which he's been very, very comfortable in the recent few rounds. Has had a race win at the Nordschleife, has had a race win in the previous race of the season at Aragon. Kirill Antonov in defensive mode, but maybe, realistically speaking, it doesn't need to be. We'll see if it's the final lap of the race. We've got a minute left on the clock. It's going to be very, very tight to the line. We know that. The previous lap from them was a 2:29.4 and a 2:29.5. Obviously, both lapping exceptionally similar at this very moment. They're a second clear of Adam Pinzet, who looks good for a podium. But these kind of battles, they're not done until they're done. And you know that run into what could be the final chicane of the entire race here, or could just be the penultimate time they reach it. Your hearts are racing.
Yeah, and let's see if Pfeiffer goes for a move into the bus stop, because you can pass on both sides if you're brave enough. It is possible on the outside as well, because you will have the inside for the next corner, and Pfeiffer is catching up. But is that close enough?
Is it? I don't think it is. Certainly not on a driver as experienced as Kirill Antonov. Could potentially be the final lap of the race. Let's see what they do as they run through the final chicane up onto two wheels. Quite a bit there from Kirill Antonov, and down towards the line. We'll count the seconds down. We've got 3, 2, 1 across the line, and now we start the final lap of the race, and that is what Pfeiffer wanted. If he didn't go for it now is the time. Couldn't get much closer than that, Rob.
No, that really couldn't get much closer.
Well, let's see. Let's see if there's going to be a defensive move. Let's see if it needs to be. Like I said, is Pfeiffer going on the attack? I mean, Gianmarco Vinucci might try and get by Barner just to make things a little bit safer. Markovic, I know, will try something on Florian Harter, and you can see he's very close, as well as Lucas Werner there to try and get inside the top 5. Here we go then. Kirill Antonov in the middle of the road, and Pfeiffer's going for it. He's got to the inside. There's contact between the two, and the German and the Russian go side by side to Lecon, but for Ladasport Rosneft, it's commitment on the brakes, and that's what we expect as Adam Pinzet and Mikko Räikkönen battle it out. Is the inside through Malmedy for the German driver of Mikko Räikkönen. Oh, it's going to be tight over there. You've got to watch out for getting a slow down. We're not sure if that's where Florian Harter picked one up. Adam Pinzet seems all right at the moment. To the inside, Mikko Räikkönen trying to grab the podium position off of the Ardennes competition driver and do something for Dur here.
Oh, quality driving there from Rechel. Just about managed to squeeze through there. Pinzet is back on the attack.
got to watch out though, because again, instant limits, and by this point in the race, you have to say that some drivers that maybe not going on the attack as much as they would necessarily want to could be because they are breaching instant limit and getting up into the upper echelons of that and risking a disqualification, which at the final moments of the race will effectively, as near as makes no difference, ruin your entire evening, because this race is so important not only for the race itself, but of course for the reverse grid race. It's the top 10 that will get sent in reverse up into the top, so 10th will become first, 9th become second, etc. Everyone else will be starting from their current position, so Juan Manuel Gomez down, and that's where for those likes they'll want to pick up another spot, but surely Gomez isn't going to attack Gianmarco Fiducci here. For Team Fordzilla, he's got to sit behind his championship leading teammate Kirill Antonov, leading the way, looking for another win in the CUPRA SimRacing series, but he's got a lot of pressure on his shoulders from Mikko Reichel. Let's see what they do. Reichel going on the attack, and this is exactly what you said, Rob, trying to make something stick around the outside. This is looking good from Pfeiffer. He's there, there's a bit of contact, and Max Pfeiffer, that's good enough, and out of the final corner, it's going to be so tight towards the line. I'm not sure which way it's going to go. I think it is Antonov all the way home. Talk about a photo finish. Pfeiffer just close. You couldn't get closer than that, couldn't get close to the final lap of the race, but there we go, and Kirill Antonov, for the 4th time in the CUPRA SimRacing series, takes victory.
Oh wow, congratulations to Kirill, but that was close. Barna dropped out of the top 10 at the end as well. Both of the Fordzillas are on the reverse grid.
Wow.
Echel brought home the 3rd place. What a race, man.
What a race. Absolutely. Dur Esports do get a podium out of it, you're absolutely right. But Kirill Antonov and Pfeiffer separated by 300 of a second. To be fair, from the angle that we were looking at, I was thinking we were going to be talking about thousandths. It was a great drive off of the corner from Pfeiffer, but Antonov just had enough of a response around the outside. Obviously a bit of a straighter exit, but what a display. What a display between those two.
We will be back for more just after the ad. Second race coming up.
What a race we were just given there. Absolutely sensational, and hopefully we'll be getting more of that, and I'm sure we will as race 2 will be ready to begin. Another 25-minute sprint around Spa, the Belgian countryside that has provided plenty of great racing, not only in the CUPRA SimRacing series, but everywhere else in sim racing, including last night when we went racing for 2.4 hours in GT3 machinery around here, which was absolutely brilliant. Once again, Kirill Antonov on top, but Pfeiffer putting himself into the mix, potentially looking for a race win at some point this season, and showing exactly why we should measure him up as a quality driver for the near future, because it was such an impressive result.
Yeah, fantastic driving from him, but also from Antonov, who's now really gaining points for the championship. And I mean, you saw in the beginning, Hasse and Fiducci, when you compare them at the start of the race, Hasse in the lead, Fiducci 16th. Now at the end of the race, they were 5th and 8th.
Yeah,
5th
absolutely.
and 9th, actually.
And now it's like I say, it's important about the reverse grid. As you point out quite clearly there, Barna, I'm sure he'll be very disappointed with that, dropping outside of the top 10 in the final moments of the race, putting Gianmarco Fiducci and Juan Manuel Gomez onto the front row in this top 10 reverse grid, which will be starting in a few moments' time. We've had our championship leader coming into this round, starting from second. He would have probably preferred to have started from pole position, but it does mean he's got the inside line into turn 1. And for Team Fordzilla, this will be something they'll definitely want to photograph, because seeing 2 Team Fordzilla drivers on the front row of the grid as we get our pictures as we're about to get underway here, drivers popping in, and it is, of course, that front row that I was speaking of, the Argentinian driver of Juan Manuel Gomez, Gianmarco Fiducci, alongside Lewis McGlade, Rob Wiesenmüller in the commentary booth. We are underway for the second race here at Spa, and now that is not so much of a surprise. I was thinking that Fiducci was going to get a better launch and Gomez wasn't going to fight him. There was contact between the two teammates on the run into turn 1. Verducci hits the front straight away. We're going to see a repeat, but the other way around, surely, of Aragon, as Ben Zupanek's got himself up into second position. But is it just going to be second position? Trying to make it stick on Verducci on the run to Eau Rouge on the first lap of the race. Close as you like. There's surely going to be a switch here into Les Combes. Zupanek's hungry, so hungry after last round. He was denied in the final moments from Gianmarco Verducci for that race win. He led so much of the race, but Juan Manuel Gomez will want to grab second position. He'll want to make it a Team Fordzilla 1-2 defensive line from Gianmarco Verducci, but it's not enough for the Hungarians. Got to the inside as we head into Les Combes. Verducci will be deep on the brakes. There'll be contact a little bit between himself and Ben Zupanek. This is the second consecutive race too that these two will go side by side. There's continued contact through Malmedy, and Ben Zupanek so aggressive in the early stages. He's got the inside at Ravage, and once again Verducci's going to be dropped down here. So great between the two of them, and the Hungarian hits the front.
How aggressive stuff there from Ben Zupanek, but he really needed that after Verducci's aggressive pass last time. And once again, the Hungarian, who's never won a race, is in the lead.
Surely he's going to be more weary of Gianmarco Verducci this time. Did great defence, but left the door open a little bit late, and Verducci pounced back in Aragon to take that race victory. And then a little bit after that, Alessandro Ottaviani also managed to get through, and so was dropped down to the third spot on the podium. Did have a podium before when he was racing at the Red Bull Ring in 2020. You can see how much dirt's being picked up as all the drivers are running wide on the exit of Fagnes. Florian Haase gaining a position on Vélez, so up into fifth position. I think it's actually, I'm not sure who's dropped backwards there, but either way, Florian Haase is in fifth, and that's the important bit right now. But he needs to make up more points, he needs to make up more positions, he needs to go on the attack of Gianmarco Verducci and make it a very, very good Spa right here and right now. Halfway point of the season, remember, after this race.
And Verducci gaining so much time back on Zupanek in the slipstream. Has to go to the outside. And there's Markovic looking against Gomez. Oh, Pinces going wide.
Yeah. So wide. I think he might have been sent into that. There was a bit of 3 wide as well, as we're seeing plenty. I think that's Sokovikov going a bit slow on the apex. There's Adam Pinces dropping down the order. Rake will be able to get through. There's the dive. Oh, there's a little bit of contact and sent down the inside straight to the side of Markovic. Was there. I think there might have been contact between himself and Barner, which is going to slow this entire train down and probably create a little bit of side-by-side, which we can see behind this between Rakel and Pinces on that run into Eau Rouge. Pinces going to try and back out of it and drop back into line. Oh, I think Vela, obviously coming from the other side of the planet, the Brazilian, same as Juan Manuel Gomez. We're seeing some connection issues from him. Just darting around a little bit. There's Verducci. There's the attack once again. There's the defensive lines coming in once again from Ben Zupanek. Is Verducci going to be able to hit the front? It's got to be sent around the outside at Les Combes, but we know that Zupanek's good in the brakes, but we know the Italian is as well. Closing the door quite aggressively there as Zupanek's got the inside going through Malmedy and will hold position, but trying to go for the cutback. Verducci, no way through. This is going to be an intense affair all the way through the race, and look at that from Florian Haase, makes contact with Juan Manuel Gomez. Good job that Gianmarco Verducci was a little bit wide there and wasn't collected by his teammate, being sent by one of his championship rivals.
This race is definitely starting much more hectic than the first one. First race, Pfeiffer, Hasse, Antonov, they were working together in the beginning. Now it's not the case.
But we need to speak about it, Rob. Incident limit. And if there were already people in that race which seemed a little bit calmer than what we have here in race 2, incident limit got people before even realistically reaching the final quarter of the race, and I get the feeling that we might be seeing a few also come a cropper to that. Hopefully none of our championship rivals. This is on the first lap of the race on the replay, seeing that intense battle between Gianmarco Verducci and Ben Zupanek. It's not the last time we're going to see that, not here and not in the CUPRA SimRacing Series of 2021. Those two have been putting on such a good show the last couple of rounds, and I'd like to copy and paste that for the next few, because the racing that we keep getting from these is proper blockbuster stuff. That is about as close as you can get to a Fordzilla car. It's slipstreaming up into Blanchimont, and again, it's got to be a little bit more comfort on Verducci's shoulders in the sense that he's got his teammate as a rear gunner. There's a bit of contact there as Gomez and Haase also come together with Verducci once again, and yeah, like I said, Zupanek left the door open. It's not great. The train is very much here and trying to leave the station realistically, and there goes Fiducci, no move. We're on board with Haase, no move, but I'm sure we're not going to see some side-by-side between Haase. He's not that aggressive, is he?
Oh, he's thinking about it. But I think you can't go side-by-side there, especially not with Gomez. With the high ping, you can see the game even counts Haase in third.
Yeah, it does go a bit up and down. It's obviously, you know, the joys of racing from someone from the other side of the planet, but it does cause its own issues. But being fantastically dealt with, I mean, we see plenty of side-by-side between Gomez and the rest of the field. Does like to get out there and get racing, and we see some great stuff. Once again, let's see what Gianmarco Fiducci can do trying to take the lead, but this time doesn't fancy going side-by-side, trying to save some of those incident points for a bit later in the race. We'll go for another cutback here on Zupanek down to Rivage. He really wants to dispatch the Hungarian and potentially open the door as well for his teammate to come through. A little bit of a rub on the rear end of Zupanek, and you can see as well Markovic back a part of it, and now getting down the inside of Florian Haase. Haase's out wide, maybe even on the cusp of another slowdown penalty, down to 5th spot. He loses the position to Markovic.
3 whites in the background as well.
I'm not liking this, Rob. I'm feeling like the highlights package might be even longer than 5 minutes for this round.
I just upload the broadcast again as the highlight package. Problem
Absolutely
solved.
Superb. Fantastic stuff. Gomez and Markovic were switching there, but it's just on the tower as they're quite close. Here's Alan Pinsesh in 12th spot on the back of Attila Dina, and Alessandro Ottaviani, who has got himself inside the top 10, but no third reverse grid race. It's just race 1 and race 2 in the CUPRA SimRacing series. I don't think my voice could take a third one of these. Certainly not with the level of pressure being delivered out there on the pack. It is proper pack racing to the highest extent. And to the best extent, to be perfectly honest. Absolutely loving this here today.
Crazy racing, and not even halfway through, so let's see what follows.
I wonder how close we're going to get to the to the time. Let's see with Fiducci. Not a smile on his face as he's trying to fight this one. I said before he's been a race victor here before. He's now trying to spread out in sim racing, trying to find just a bit more knowledge, trying to try in other disciplines to learn overall in sim racing, whether it's in GT racings in the ADAC GT Masters Esports Championship or elsewhere on other simulators in the Formula Pro category. There's the dive to the inside from Fiducci. That's a proper send at La Source. There's contact. That was all's fair. A little bit bashy on exit from Ben Zupanek, and I mean, it was an absolutely fair send. Gomez, though, having to just back out of it a little bit, having to keep his eyes in the mirrors, keeping his eyes on Markovic. I must say, if there is a driver I am impressed with here today, it is Juan Manuel Gomez, and that is perfect rear gunner driving.
Yeah, just keeping the back of Fiducci clear there from any attacks. Markovic has been quite aggressive in the battles before, and yeah, so it's good for Fiducci that Gomez is in between, so he can focus on Zupanek, and he will try it around the outside.
Is he going to do it though? Just squeezed off the racetrack. Got to be careful of slowdowns, and Fiducci gives one back to him. You can see a bit of a smile on his face as he likes that. Like I say, he's just responding to how Zupanek's driving, and there's going to be contact once again as Juan Manuel Gomez is being squeezed here. He's trying to make something stick. This is going to end in tears, surely, as Zupanek opens the door once again and returns to the race lead. Fiducci doesn't like that one bit, and I can understand why the two of them are racing so aggressively right now. But like I say, this only has one way of ending, and it's not pretty, ladies and gentlemen. It is not pretty indeed.
And out of all of this, Matija Markovic from Montenegro, the other MRS esports driver, also with a shot of winning his first race here. He's never had a podium. He's never even been in Server 1 before on this championship.
Like I said, racing the CUPRA e-racing competition has done very well there, but on debut here, I mean, getting a podium would be a fantastic effort, but going a couple of steps better, grabbing a win for Markovic, and I'm certainly not going to rule it out, is like right there, is right a part of it. But again, between these lot, we've got to talk about instant limit, and between Zupanek and Fiducci, it's going to be getting quite high right now. They've got to be careful. They've got to measure their drives. If Fiducci has aspirations of the championship, whilst yes, he's lost some points in race 1, it's about thinking big picture now. A second place is better than a DQ.
Oh, Bana joining in now.
Yeah, I was going to say, what a dive. Let's see what happens here. Again, the cutback, the switchback. Markovic not a part of that, but also now as we look backwards from Markovic, you can see Gomez and Haase side by side.
Barner, both of them. Oh, at the front there. Oh, that's Werle.
Whoa, that's too big. That's surely too big of a dive. Hits the side of of Barner on the run down the hill. Let's take a look as we see Lucas Werle has gained the spots. It's side by side. Juan Manuel Gomez, he's dropping backwards. We've got 3 wide down to Eau Rouge. Oh, we can't be doing this. The 2 from the south of America. Oh my goodness. That is not what I wanted to see. We're going to get more 3 wide. Gomez, Werle, Kirill Antonov.
On the grass.
Ottaviani is absolutely mayhem, and Alessandro Ottaviani is right in the middle of it when it comes to his championship fight, but Gianmarco Fiducci is also trying to get back the race lead. Oh, I feel so sorry for you, Rob, having to find the action.
Oh, Fiducci ran deep.
And now Zupanek's back a part of it to the inside of Malmedy. Fiducci's going to back out of it. Oh my goodness, we are not halfway yet.
Oh no, Haas is coming back into the battle. Barner up to 3rd.
Oh, Martin Barner wants a race victory here, and you can understand why, but so does Markovic, so does Juan Manuel Gomez, who somehow is back a part of this train, and I don't fully know how. If I'm perfectly honest, a 10th separates the top 2, but a 2nd separates the top 6, and it's not many times in motorsport or sim racing where you get to see something that tight. Just a 2nd. You cannot tell me that it's not racing. I don't care what various people have been tweeting the last week or so. This is racing.
Oh, and look how Barner has been gaining position after position here. Now it's 2 Mira Esports drivers there. The situation has completely changed for Fiducci.
A lot of drivers up here yet to take a victory. You said before, Zupanek not taking a victory, Barner not taking a victory, Markovic not taking a victory, Juan Manuel Gomez not taking a victory. Axel Vermeulen up inside the top 10 as we look back to him, and Lucas Werle back up to the race leaders. Fiducci wants his 3rd race win of CUPRA SimRacing Series 2021 and to reassert himself at the top of the championship in comfortable fashion. But it is going to be a hard race. You get the feeling once he gets through, he might, if there's battle behind, he might be able to break it. But you're absolutely right that it's now 2 Mirror Esports either side of Gianmarco Fiducci, and where it was looking good with him and his teammate. Oh, look at that from Attila Dina up on the 2 wheels in the background. Wow, we've seen that a few times. Saw that from Bent Banky last time out, but Attila Dina dropping way down the order. That's a shame.
That could be some suspension damage in addition as well. What a shame, he was so close to the top 10 before.
Yeah, it's a good effort, but unfortunately not. MRS, though, having a great day, it must be said. They are doing brilliantly around here, but alas for Attila Dina, maybe not so much in the same degree, unfortunately. Right, back to this. What can Martin Barner do? What can Gianmarco Fiducci do? There goes Fiducci once again. Barner is going to potentially get past the Italian here, which would be great for Bent Zupanek, but Martin Barner backs out of it. Fiducci on the attack again, once again being careful of track limits. There comes Martin Barner trying to get a back involved. The 2 Mirror Esports drivers have had podiums before this season, but not a race victory. Barner on the attack, but maybe with a slowdown penalty is Florian Haase. Somehow with super speed hit the nitrous boost off of Malmedy and down the hill into Rivage, nearly up onto the podium, but a little bit too deep on the brakes. And now side by side through the corner with no name. This is perfect for Fiducci because it's giving a gap behind that he now can attack Zupanek in full attack mode. Florian Haase, Martin Barner still side by side, and Barner somehow around the outside of Puon.
Crazy stuff there, and you're absolutely right. The top 2 have broken away now.
This is absolutely insane. And like I say, Fiducci will want that. I think if Fiducci's being smart right now, and if he's thinking about the race win, in a sense, when he gets onto like this kind of straight here and also down to Les Combes, I'd push Zupanek. I'd just push him. I'd try and let these guys battle behind, and I'd try and push Zupanek to build a bigger gap.
First 2 victims of the incident limit, Wittvold and Werle, both out of the race. 10 minutes to go.
I think Vinieri is also out of the race, although not 100% sure as to why, whether it's down to instant limit or not. There he goes once again on the attack. Fiducci, Zupanek still defending firm. Still trying to hold on, but look at the train behind. Gomez and Markovic were close there for 5th spot, and Alessandro Ottaviani picks up the position on Kirill Antonov behind that on the run out, and that's great for him in his championship. It wasn't looking good. Alessandro Ottaviani, I will say, started this race from 14th position, had such a disappointing run in race 1, and somehow he's up inside the top 10, is up a part of the big mix as well for this podium battle, and if he could rescue a podium, I'm going to give him an enormous pat on the back, to be honest, a big clap. I don't really know what to say. It would be a sensational drive from the Italian.
Still some way to go, though. Is Fiduci attacking? Yeah, I don't think it makes any sense to attack, but it looks like they are fighting.
I agree. I'd say he would be frustrated right now. He's ahead though. Look at that. The slipstream's worked, and Fiduci, you can tell he's annoyed. He doesn't fancy battling with Zupanek anymore. But back to the inside at Malmedy. You can't really send it from there. Fiduci with the wide line through. This could be good for Fiduci if he can break Zupanek, which is easier said than done around Spa, because the slipstream's just going to pull him all the way around this track. Now he realistically wants that train to be back a part of it. He wants Zupanek to be worried about what's happening behind. But again, Zupanek now has his teammate behind.
Yeah, but can Zupanek really go the same pace as Fiduci when Fiduci has clean air?
Yeah, it's a great point. The top 10 though, realistically, with the exception of this gap between second and third, which is only 0.7 of a second, the top 10 are all in a train down to Vermeulen. James Montgomery's just off the back end of that. Also with Adam Pinsesh, who's just not had a good race here. As I said, had a fantastic race, was 4th in the previous race. There's Max Pfeiffer as well. That's a shame for him. Second position and on the podium, but yeah, not having a great second race here. I think he's been barged down the order and been involved in the mix, but he's also got Rasmus Salo, the experienced Finn, in that fantastic livery of Absolute Motorsport directly behind. It is great to see, and I've said it all the round so far, and I'll say it once again, it's great to see custom liveries in the CUPRA SimRacing series.
Yeah, makes it so much easier to tell who is who. There you can see number 97 Zupanek on the windscreen, 46 of course, number 46 for Gianmarco Fiduci ahead.
It's a bit of a shame for 46 as well, announcing a retirement from Valentino Rossi. I'm sure Fiduci's a bit of a fan of the consideration he's running that number. I'm sure it's not just a coincidence. 46 more synonymous with the.
You can see it. You can see his hat there. It has got the Rossi 46 as well.
So I've got a Valentino Rossi flag up in my room, so don't worry, I'm a bit of a fan myself. I mean, he wouldn't be.
Oh, three right of the pink cars there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. As in the middle of it, Montgomery outside is
and Antonov is out.
Yeah. Oh, yes, Kirill Antonov out. Is that down to instant limits?
I'll check in a minute. Just let me see if these pink cars can all get through the Rouge cleanly. Looks like it Gomez out as well.
Oh, yeah. For some of these drivers, it's not going well.
Down to incident limit.
Look at how big this gap is in this train. As once again, Zupanek's all over the rear end of Fiduci, and it is a repeat of what we saw last time out, but now it is the reversed positions. It is Fiduci leading from Zupanek, Barna behind, Haase, Markovic, Ottaviani, Raikkonen, Vermeulen, Pliszka, and James Montgomery inside your top 10. What was a train for the top 10 has now been very much split apart with the retirements of Kirill Antonov and Juan Manuel Gomez.
Yeah, and we've been talking about it the whole race. You could really see that one coming.
Yeah.
For some drivers, it will end badly here.
Well, these have all got to be. I mean, particularly Zupanek and Fiduci, they have got to be close. And realistically speaking, again, for Fiduci, when you're thinking of the championship, you have to think big picture. Finishing second, third, fourth, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, finishing in any position is better than a disqualification. And that's how you have to drive this race. That's how you have to think about it. I think with the time lost, by the way, I think we might go a lap shorter than the previous race. We'll see how close they are on this time and whether we're going to be starting the penultimate lap or with 3 to go. It was so tight in the previous one. We crossed the line. By the consideration that it was the finishing time of the race was a 27-minute, 29-second race. It does mean that we crossed the line with far under a second. It was so close for that final lap to begin, but considering the time they've got left on the clock, it's not going to be close this time out. It is not going to be close. We are going for 2 more laps here at Spa.
They're close. Fiducci is faster, but he just can't get a gap.
I think he's faster at the right points though, and he's. I say that's easy to say because, well, again, once we leave here at La Source and that run to Les Combes, Zupanek's just in the slipstream. You're gonna be fast. Florian Haase though, I actually think that I know championship rivals and stuff, but Fiducci would much rather Florian Haase come through this a little bit and try and sit behind him, and maybe if Haase goes to attack, I know championship rivals and whatnot, but you'd feel your chances are a bit safer with Florian Haase rather than Ben Zupanek right now.
Yeah, of course, Zupanek has got nothing to lose. He's fighting for his first victory.
Let's see what happens. Whoa, Zupanek's got to the inside of Fiducci. It wasn't covered off fully from the Italian, and the Hungarian once again going to try and retake the lead here at Spa, and Fiducci does back out of that one and does play it a little bit safer, but he's got to the inside potentially of Malmedy. Backs out of it once again. Martin Barner, part of the podium battle, wants to make it a mirror esports 1-2 between Zupanek and Martin Barner. Barner recently joining the team and now really making his name. Florian Haase trying an interesting line around the outside, which isn't going to work right now, and the top quartet very, very close. This is the penultimate lap of the race here at Spa. They'll have one last time every corner. I say it every time we get to this point in the race. Every lap that goes by is an opportunity gone. It's wasted. But around here, where you've got such a large slipstream, you're not necessarily worried. We go back to the battle of pink for 9th and 10th and 11th spots between Pliszka, Montgomery and Pinsesh.
Yeah, Montgomery having a much better race than pretty much ever before in this championship.
I don't think he's got a top 10 before.
I might have had one at Macau last year, I'm not sure.
Oh,
it was close there. But definitely not this season, once he switched to the pink car.
It's an interesting livery, I'll give him that. I say it every time. Of these three liveries, I do quite like the Ballast Racing car, but the Ardennes Competition just looks absolutely fantastic to me. Really nice use of a good shade of pink. I'll give him that. Fiducci on the attack. Once again, Zupanek holding the lead, back out in front. Once again here at Spa, we see on board with Gianmarco Fiducci. We see Martin Barner maybe looking to the inside, not able to get through, out of the final corner, and there will be one more lap. Lap number 10 about to begin here. And this is it. This is for the race here at Spa. The first race of the evening went the way of Kirill Antonov, of Pfeiffer, of Mikhail Rakel, who are not in mix for the podium. But Florian Haase is. He dives to the inside of La Source and is potentially going to make it up on Martin Barner. They're close on the exit, but space is given to Alessandro Ottaviani from 14th spot into 6th. Could he potentially pick up a podium? Good move from Florian Haase to grab 3rd position. There is Ottaviani for Virtual Drivers by TX3. He's a little bit far off of Markovic, looking for a top 5. But either way, it's been an outstanding drive from Alessandro Ottaviani. Really is top quality. Here comes Fiducci once again. Now, when he passed Zupanek, he was clear before they even got to the braking zone. That's not going to be the case today. Is he going to back out of it? Yes, he is. And Zupanek is going to hang on. Once again, cutting, crisscrossing. Is this avoiding incidents? Is he close to that incident limit? I wonder.
Haase doesn't look like he's avoiding anything there. Haase looks like he's really pushing for it now. Great pace from Haase in this round. But is this a little bit too late?
For Haase, I mean, he was in race winning contention last round, but or last race after starting from pole position, but dropped back because of that slowdown penalty. So this is the pace that we were kind of expecting from Haase. Just mistakes were made and easily done. Finished in the top 5, so looking for another top 5 finish is Florian Haase. Not going to be a 4th consecutive one though, because he didn't finish inside the top 5 in the second race at Aragon, but did finish on the podium at Silverstone in the second race at Silverstone, and the first race of Aragon that he won. He's been on the podium as well at the Hockenheim Ring earlier in the season, looking for his 4th podium of the season, as is Fiducci. This is it then. Out of Stavelot, out of Curve Paul Frere, down towards Blanchimont, down towards the final chicane, that bus stop chicane for the last time. Zupanek leading at present. The Hungarian looking to hang on, looking for his first win in the CUPRA SimRacing series, but Fiduci wants to make it 3. Let's see what it's going to be then. Out of Blanchimont, is there going to be a send, or is Fiduci just going to hang on a bit of a flash of the lights? And Florian Haas is also there. Is he potentially going to be trying to make it stick? But Fiduci, I think he's just going to settle for second here. He's playing the championship game. And finally, for Zupanek, it's out on top here at Spa. Fiduci second, Haas onto the podium with Markovic rounding out the top 5. Barner there in 4th, and Ottaviani up into 6th spot. Zupanek played his cards well. It was aggressive. It was a feisty affair, and I have to think that was Fiduci thinking championship. Montgomery not happy with his 10th place, it seems.
Surprise there, but I'm sure Zupanek will be very, very happy winning his first race on RaceRoom Esports, his first race in the CUPRA SimRacing series ahead of Fiduci, who really recovered from his bad qualifying. Florian Haas in 3rd, Barner and Markovic rounding out the top 5 on his Server 1 debut.
Oh gosh, Markovic was like so impressive. 6th in race 1, 5th in race 2. Really is exceptional from the driver of Montenegro. And for MRS, as much as they have had issues, let's say, Pfeiffer dropping back down there to 13th, but did have podium in race 1. Tiladina didn't really look to have the speed of his teammates. But for MRS, it did seem a bit of a step forward, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. It was a huge step forward. And I'm very curious to see what the championship standings will look like when we head into the next round. I'm sure we will get a couple of incident reports as well following this race. But yeah, looks like a very exciting championship shaping up because Hasse, Antonov, Fiduci, of course. I think overall it went really well for Fiduci in the end. Considering the championship, somehow, yes.
A reminder, qualified in 15th position did Gianmarco Fiduci, made it up into P9 and then up onto the podium for race 2. Came into it as the championship leader by over 40 points from Florian Haase. Haase did not make up the ground that realistically he should have, though. That's the real thing. All things considered, Haase starting from pole position, being right up there, finished in 5th spot in race 1, 3rd spot in race 2, and as we pass the halfway point of the season, despite the issues from Fiduci, he's still looking as strong as ever. As I said, halfway point down. We'll be back on the 19th. Obviously, there's still plenty more to go in the season. 19th, when we go to the Hungaroring, we've got Nürburgring, we've got Monza, we've got I do love a random track being thrown in here, the Bilsterberg, which as much as you may think of it, it's a Tilke-drome in a sense. It's built by Hermann Tilke as far as my memory goes. But it's not a typical Tilke-drome. It's certainly a bit all over the place. Massive undulations, fantastic track before we end the season at Macau, which is always a classic, Rob.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. But it's still plenty of time until the final round is there. Just halfway through the season, and what we already saw this season. Kind of crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure we're going to see plenty more. We've had excellent racing all the way throughout, and I'm sure we'll see more of that. But do you think for Fiduci, after another podium, and also a drive where it did seem like he was playing more championship-wise, do you think this is him playing the championship game, or do you think it was more just avoiding a disqualification, was close to the instant limit?
Well, I actually took a small look at the incident limit, and he was kind of close, but not like, he could have taken one incident. So I think he's playing the long game, and I think this was really a championship drive this time from Fiduci. He was just, just staying there out of trouble in the race, recovering really well, not going for any unnecessary moves, and yeah, in the end, P2, it's not P1, of course.
Yeah, wow. Well,
yeah, I'm sorry, we were just having a couple of technical issues in the background there, but everything going fine, and the race is over now anyway, of course. Yeah, no interview, unfortunately, today. because both Antonov and Supernek are already celebrating their victories. I don't think there's much to celebrate for Antonov though after the second race.
No, I mean, still, that is how it goes. I mean, the ups and downs, you win a race and then it doesn't really work out for you. A bit of a shame for Antonov, but I'm sure we'll be coming back stronger. A reminder, it's a 4th race win from Antonov. He's won so many this season, but we'll be back anyway in 2 weeks' time at the Hungaroring. I want to thank you all for joining us. Of course, I've been Lewis McGlade, Rob Wiesenmüller alongside, and I'm sure we've got plenty more. It's just the first half of the season completed here in the CUPRA SimRacing series of 2021. Until we return, bye-bye. They take to the start here for the very first time. Looking down the inside of Jack Keatley as well, a touch of contact between the two. Still rubbing wheel to wheel. What a move! Fantastic stuff.